Documentation is a form of assessing young children that is continuous and seeks to understand many different nuances about young children, what their interests are, what they know and understand, and what misconceptions they have. Rinaldi tells us that documentation is the process of gathering evidence and artifacts of what happens in the classroom. Documentation is also the physical collection of evidence and artifacts, which can include photography, children's work, and teachers' notes. Documentation is also the reflection and analysis of the collection that's recorded. Teacher reflection allows them to understand what ideas the child has. Documentation also refers to the presentation of that collection, or a part of it, in a way that makes children's learning visible to the children, to the teachers, to families, and to visitors. These often take the form of a collection of documentation panels, videos, artifacts, and children's work.
I observe and document in a variety of different ways. I tend to do a lot of watching and listening and note-taking, and I love to write quotes down from the children because that shows me really what they're excited about and what they're taking away from it even more. And I think that observing and documenting your children is a truly important thing to remember to do, because if you don't have that, then you're not really paying attention. And by paying close attention to each child at different times during the day, you really get to know them, and you get to know their heart, and you get to know their interests, and through that you build a classroom that is based on each individual's. Through documentation and observation, I get to see what the children are learning, what is the most fun, what's really hooking in with them, what maybe I will want to do for the next unit because this has lit a fire about something else and it's connected, but it could be personal strengths and differences and interests, and it makes for a classroom that's very tight and cohesive and very exciting and alive because the children have the best ideas, bottom line.
Documentation is probably the least understood part of the curriculum planning process. So let's start with a definition. Documentation is the intentional recording of daily experiences in the infant-toddler environment in order to capture and communicate children's learning and development. It's based on attentive listening and keen observations gathered with a variety of tools. We recommend an approach to documentation that allows for simultaneous collection of information about important areas of the teacher's work, including required record-keeping, curriculum planning, and assessing developmental progress. Some of the more creative uses of documentation are to make visible the ways infants learn.
So he's bringing the garbage truck, fill it in, and pretend that he's going to dump the garbage.
To capture children's discoveries so they can return to them for continued inquiry. To share and reflect on an experience with others.
Yeah, that's from this experience of scooping sand. That's where Milo got the idea.
To plan how to better facilitate learning.
Y cuando está leyendo, está hablando también. Sí. Like she's reading out loud. She's talking. She's incredible. 1 year.
How you observe and the technology that you use influence the kind of information that you are able to collect. Notebooks and Post-it notes let you quickly jot down something on the fly. If you have them, scanners and copy machines can be used to duplicate children's work, or scan in photographs so that you can study or add to them later. A Palm Pilot is a handy, unobtrusive tool for taking quick notes that can be easily accessed or downloaded to a computer. Audio recorders are a perfect way to capture songs and conversations that might stop when a camera is focused on a group. They can also be used to quickly record your own thoughts and observations. Still cameras offer the ability to freeze action in time for later scrutiny and for labeling and easy display. While video is great for documenting interactions, language exchanges, and emotional tone. Finally, computers can be used to store records and build portfolios on individual children. Information teachers collect can be used for other purposes, such as training and supervision of infant care teachers, program advocacy, and above all, deepening relationships with families.
We appreciate you, we appreciate your children, and we want you to have a way to have this memory, to be able to cherish this memory the way we do at your home.
I was just thinking how much easier this is doing since the children are playing in the classroom.
She's just grown so much.
Through documentation, infant care teachers get to know the children better than they ever imagined
Do you love this? Did Pedro see himself?
and discover new ways to share the joy of learning.
Your children have been brought together as a community, so this starts here. We're glad to have you with us.
Documentation begins with observation. We've already discussed some ways of recording your observations of young children through running records and anecdotal notes. However, children's behaviors and interactions occur in streams rather than in isolation. Audio and video recordings provide documentation of children in streams. They can provide a tremendous amount of complete information. Audio and video recordings also provide teachers with the ability to watch the actions more than once and to discuss and validate their reflections and interpretations with other adults. Videos can also be reviewed with the children to lead discussions about what was happening and what they were thinking at the time, what they understood about the process, and what they want to work on next. Audio and video equipment is much easier to obtain now than in the years past. This has made using audio and video recording a very useful tool for capturing complex behavior, language, and interaction. Because much of what happens in the classroom is happening quickly and with so many distractions, recording children allows the teacher to slow down the action and zero in on the most important details. It also allows teachers to observe the event over and over again. Using audio and video recording for assessment requires practice. It's easy to cut out important pieces of the action by stopping or moving too quickly. And it's important that children become familiar with the equipment so that they act naturally while you're video recording. When using audio or video recordings, you may want to introduce the equipment before you actually begin collecting data, so that children become used to the equipment and accept it as a part of their normal course of the day. One big advantage of audio or video recordings is that it can be viewed, analyzed, and transcribed. But this can also be very time-consuming. When audio or video recording is selected for use, time should be planned for viewing and analysis. The large quantity of information can be overwhelming. Audio and video recordings are very useful as backup information obtained from other observation tools also. In this way, teachers could use more than one method to capture information, and this would balance the advantage of the completeness of information from tapes with the focused and efficient methods of other tools.
Video documenting is something that's new to me, and there are some benefits and some gifts that come with video documenting that are unlike any other. And I think that in its time and place, it has huge value and can be a really great tool in the classroom. It was actually more fun than I anticipated, and after the first couple days, it was pretty easy. But I think that you can get really good at it, and I think there's a lot more that you can do with it, and it would take me more time and more practice to really use it like I'd like to.
Hello, everybody. This is our new video camera. Do you know what this does?
Yes.
What does it do?
It takes videos.
The children's responses to the camera were hilarious. I was surprised that the children didn't really actually act that much different when I was filming them. When they were engaged, which I was really, really happy about. What I ended up using it most for was to see how I'm setting things up and how the children are responding, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what seemed tricky for them, and what I can do better and different next time. And I think out of everything that I did with the camera, that was the most useful part that came out for me. I had seen this really great activity in a teacher resource book and thought, I can do that. So I set it up, and I was very curious to see how the children would react. And then when they discovered it and started using it, I had to have a little piece of that. So I got the camera and I videotaped that part, and I'm actually really glad I did, because the next time I do that experiment, I have some different ideas to change it up a little bit based on how they were using it, because they took it to a million different levels, which always happens, is always very exciting. And I think that is one of the benefits of using camera, is that I could see what they were doing later, and now I can adjust to make it even better for them next time. Like not having it just on chair tops because it was sliding and it scared one little girl when it slid off, and you know, those are the kinds of things that we can easily avoid. Yeah, it was a really good day. It was a good thing to tape. I think that the most important way that the camera has contributed to my overall experience as a teacher is to make me a better teacher. I think when you can go back and look at something that you've done, being able to see the reactions of the children and what was really happening can help me to better plan for next time, to make adjustments as I need to. Any tool that will help me be the best teacher that I can be is going to be an asset to me for sure, because all I want to be is, you know, the best teacher I can be.
Sometimes the experiences in which children engage result in a product. These products help tell the story of a child's thinking, understanding, and development. The purpose of collecting children's work is to get them to know them well, their interests, their needs, and challenges. For example, a teacher in a preschool classroom can document information about a child's thought on how to build a bridge by asking them to draw out their ideas and then keeping a copy of the drawing. This product would provide a concrete example of the child's ideas that can be used for further reflection by the teacher and the child. Talking to a child about the drawing will help the adults have a better understanding of their ideas, and it helps the children articulate their ideas more clearly. Work products can be the result of many types of events in the classroom. However, it should be noted in early child care settings that learning experience is focused on the processes in which the child is engaged, and the product that it might create is really just a byproduct of the processes. To show growth, collect similar samples over a period of time. For example, if children are studying worms, collect samples of their drawings of worms over time so that you can document how their understanding of worms changed. It's also helpful to use work products in communication with parents. By discussing the product with parents, teachers have a concrete example. Parents can engage with teachers in the analysis during this process. Children create tons of products throughout their childhood, and when using work products for documentation, teachers should be careful to select only those that demonstrate the progress of the child. And teachers should be careful to document the date and relative context and growth depicted in the product. Photographs can document a point in time of children's interactions, processes they use in their work, or a specific set of skills or behaviors. They can document the actions of one child or many children. Because photos only depict children at one point in time, they do not provide information about what led up to the moment or what happened after. One photo alone should not be used if teachers are trying to gain information about a series of events or processes. When teachers are seeking information about processes, sequences, behavior, a series of photos snapped in quick succession can be used for documentation. Photos can be taken of work products. For example, if a toddler builds with blocks, photos of the construction can document important information on how the child uses the blocks, what interests her about blocks, and what type of fine motor skills she uses. Early care professionals can reflect on and analyze the content in the photo and use it for planning. In a series of photos of a child working, teachers can reflect and analyze the child's strengths and interests and what to add to the block area to support her development and creative use of blocks as tools of representation. While collecting work products can be an effective and efficient way to gather assessment information, there are many experiences in the classroom that do not result in a product. For example, an infant may try and reach for a toy. The child may never actually reach the toy. However, the teacher can learn something about the child's motivation by watching this experience and photographing it through a series of photos. Photographs are also very useful in discussing growth and learning with parents. The photo depicts exactly what is talked about. Digital cameras have the capability to date stamp and the photograph automatically, which is very helpful. Cameras can be used quickly and with very little setup, and they can be stored in places where teachers have easy access, but children do not.